things. You're going to retreats with other pastors in the city. You're doing everything that you're supposed to do. And sometimes you're not seeing that little seedling pop out of the ground. How do you handle moments like that?
I mean, 2020, 2021, even into 2022, I didn't since we're talking about authenticity a little in this, I don't feel like God said yes to anything I prayed for like 2 or 3 years.
Oh,
And it was very, very difficult. The circumstances, being in Oregon during COVID was difficult, and
yeah.
being a pastor of a mobile church, so set up and tear down every week, but we didn't have a place to be for those 2 years, for I think over 2 years actually, no place to be, or at least close. Anyway, and so it was just one no after another.
Welcome to the In Pursuit Of podcast, brought to you by CBHN, the Christian Business Harvest Network. These episodes highlight and celebrate those who are passionately pursuing their God-given purposes, leaning into our faith to rise and challenge the boundaries of possibilities.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the In Pursuit Of podcast. It's always so refreshing for me to meet a brother from another mother, right? Like someone who gets it, is real, no pretense, like I am what I am, take it or leave it. Thankfully, we're supported by the voice of God in our life to direct us. And Chad, your journey has just been fascinating. You don't look old enough to have almost 20 years of ministry under your belt, right? Like maybe it's the hat, maybe it's your boyish good looks, whatever it is. Here you are, having pastored at another location for almost 20 years or about 20 years. And now you're the lead pastor at Pathway Church in Portland. Chad, welcome, and thanks for taking the time to join us.
Hey, thanks for having me. I don't hear how young I look as a pastor as much anymore, so I'll take that for sure.
Well, you got something else brewing and cooking, and that's that Blazers hat. Y'all got a young team right now. As soon as you made some moves and some trades, you guys got a pretty young team.
We have a young and not very good team, but it's fun to have something new and different. And we haven't had that in a lot of years. So I think more people are paying attention this year, despite all the losses, and they're going in the right direction a little bit.
Yeah, and sometimes management or a general manager organizationally, it's poor to make a change for the sake of change. But when you change vision, that's different than changing direction, right? Because from vision comes your direction. Having gone through that from a ministry perspective, like, hey, we're here and now we're at Pathway. How has your transition gone? And can you describe the dynamic and the internal tug and pull that's been happening, that tension in transition?
Yeah, it's a pretty big question because the transition took a lot to make happen. And you serve and pastor in a place for 18 years. Youth pastor, associate pastor, lead pastor there for a decade. Wow. And it's really hard to leave. And I never wanted to leave. I wanted to, retire there and raise up the next pastor and all those things. And so it took a lot to get me here. And what I've told people is that coming has been really great, but leaving was really terrible. And so I feel that word tension very much still, where I love our staff. Some of them can hear me doing this interview probably outside my office right now. I think the church has been so welcoming and so kind. And I have it's been really good. But at the same time, there's sadness and there's struggle. And there's days where I go, man, I miss what I was doing and the people I was doing it with. And so all that is important to have out there. But I would say, to your point specifically, that a change in vision is important sometimes. And My former church has reassessed what they're doing and even where they're doing it, and things are going in a great direction there. And it didn't take a long time for me to see the value that I brought to this church. My former church, the things that we were really bad at, this church is really good at, Pathway. And the things that my former church is really good at, Pathway is not particularly good at. And so it's a really good blend right now. And we're trying to figure out what exactly the vision is and the strategy for the next, handful of years at this church.
Off air, we talked about Elijah a little bit about how he's just chilling in the forest by the Kidron Brook, and every day a raven would fly into the king's castle and take some bread and a meal and bring it to Elijah. He's got water, right? He's got a fresh source of water. He's good. And then God says, go. Why would you go when everything's taken care of? Chad, why would you go when it's like, this is like retirement pasture of grass, right? Like you, how do you get to a point where comfort no longer is your driving force?
So I did leave comfort, but at the same time, God made it less comfortable, or else I don't think I would have done it. And it really became clear to my wife and I on one Tuesday separately, this one day where both of us just knew that coming to Pathway was the right thing to do. And I'll tell you, if it wasn't for my wife, I think I would have backed out many steps of the way. I mean, even though I knew I didn't want to do it still, like I said, wanted to die being the pastor of Creekside, or at least retire. And yet that one Tuesday, my wife, Bryn, and I, we knew. And so she kept coming back to that. This is the right thing. This is the right thing. This is the right thing. And so we did it. And even the last day before I was, on the job in this office that I'm now sitting in, I still was wrestling with it. But what's been so great is getting here, and I alluded to this earlier, it has not taken long to see that it was right, that God wanted me here, that he's confirming that, and he's confirmed that consistently in the last 4.5 months. And we're starting to see fruit at both churches. My former church that I thought would struggle without me, but I was very wrong. And now my new church coming here, who I didn't really think needed me. And so God is confirming that it was the right thing.
So this is what I'm hearing. It wasn't that what you left was wrong. It was just where you were going was right.
That's a great summary.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're in conversation with Chad, who is the lead pastor of Pathway in the Portland area. We're having this conversation because there's more than one person going through a transition right now. There's more than one person who feels a tug to step out of what they have been steeped in, and it's about time. One of the principles that you're talking about, Chad, here is if you don't leave, you're taking up somebody else's opportunity. And you might be the very source that's holding an organization back. Even if you've led it for as many years as you have, what got you this far won't get you to the next step, right? And confirmation was a big part in helping that transition. What else were key markers that you can look back and say, hey, this marker right here was really important in my transition?
Yeah, so I think the biggest marker is that when we brought it up with our kids, they were okay. And I've always viewed ministry as a family event, and they were okay. They weren't okay every day. They're more like me than my wife in that regard, but they were for a day, and it allowed for the boundaries to kind of drop, the walls to drop, and for us to go, you know what, I think this is right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're in conversation with Chad Harms. He's the lead pastor at Pathway. When we come back from this short break, I want to get into why everybody wants a piece of Chad. We'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, well done. A Passionate Pursuit of Purpose is now available. This book was written so you don't have to leave your eternity to chance. It's for someone who is a little restless and simply looking for their next move, but doesn't know where to begin. If you feel like there is still more in your core to explore, and you want to experience the fullness of what was deposited within your DNA, then well done. A passionate pursuit of purpose could be the very tool you need to send you in the direction of your destiny. Available now on Amazon and welldonebook.info. That's welldonebook.info.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the In Pursuit of podcast. Of course, today we're in conversation with Chad Harms. He's the lead pastor, newly minted, about 4 or 5 months pastor at Pathway Church in the greater Portland area. Excited about hearing that you don't get held back by comfort. It might take you a little longer to get to the other side of your obedience, but what amazing freedom and liberties, and more so peace, when people in your life confirm that you're moving in the right direction. When we first connected a little while back, Chad, one of the things that was like obvious and like stood out, I was like, dude's real. Like the way he's chilling with me on this pre-call, this was a few weeks back, he's probably the same person in the pulpit at home with his kids, and when he goes to their kids sporting events. Well, maybe not, we turn into animals at sporting events. That's not right.
That's true.
Yeah. I won't bring that up. Both you and I probably have multiple negative incidences, but where do you get this ability to like not have any pretense? Because sometimes in the pulpit, you feel like bringing your best righteousness in the form of a suit or a collar, but you're just kind of the same. How did that develop in you?
Nobody's ever asked me that. That is a fascinating question. I get told a lot that I'm authentic and open and all those things. So you've hit on something, despite, we haven't known each other very long, but I've never been asked where it comes from. I think that it probably comes from my childhood. I mean, I had a really rough childhood, and it was unique in that on one side there was a real emphasis on Jesus and church and things that I really value now, and on the other side there was not, and there was quite a bit of unhealth, and I won't go too far down that track, but it was pretty rough. And I think that it kind of just, it both allowed me and caused me to just be okay with maybe the messiness that is me and life and all of those things. And so on the one side, I had, the struggles, and those probably contributed. But on the other side, there was tremendous unconditional love. And there was love on both sides. I shouldn't say that, but there was a Jesus kind of love. I've always said that my grandma would say that on my dad's side, that she would say that she was proud of me, even if I was in prison. And I've tried to take that mentality with my kids, and I actually never tell them that I'm proud of them for anything they accomplish. I'll say I'm proud of you no matter what. And then sometimes I'll say I was really impressed when you did that thing, but I'm proud that they're my children, even on their worst days.
I just want to create that separation here,
Sure.
Just for a quick moment. You're saying being proud of somebody isn't always about what they do, but it's about who they are, period.
That's exactly right. I mean, my daughter, my son, they could do the worst thing in the world in public, and I would walk up and be happy to put my arm around them.
Man, the way that I grew up, I don't know if my dad ever said that he was proud of me. Not a negative man. He never got that type of love. He doesn't know what it means. Like the word affirm probably never entered his vocabulary until the day he died, right? Like it just wasn't a part of his makeup. I was good with that. I lived without affirmation my entire life. But there's this, so I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. You're saying that the affirmation of just somebody saying, hey, you are good enough, allowed you to just be who you are. For me, I'm on the opposite scale, where I didn't ever feel affirmed, but I didn't feel that I needed to, because I never got it. So I was just free to just be me, because I never knew that I was missing something to be affirmed. So it's just kind of interesting how both of us have been able to be liberated into just being comfortable in the skin that we're in, coming from opposite spectrums of what it meant to be affirmed, just through the words of being proud. I absolutely love it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're in conversation with Chad Harms. And when we come back from this short break, I want to lean into what you just said about, hey, you just recently preached about something. Because there's something about 5 loaves and 2 fishes. Is it fish or fishes? I don't know.
I'm
I
not
never
sure
get it right.
either. I don't
Never
know.
get it right.
I didn't say either on Sunday.
And you know what? We're going to get to it when we come back from the short break.
My name is Siddique.
Hey, it's Tracy Mighty.
Hi, my name is Albert Brandstetter. I am an investment advisor with National Bank Financial. I've been an advisor for over 35 years.
And the CBHN community has allowed me to connect with like-minded professionals that have helped reshape my career goals with the added benefit of strengthening my faith journey.
And CBHN has helped me uncover and rediscover the passion for entrepreneurship.
And I have to tell you, what I have learned and gleaned from the others who are part of CBHN has brought me to new heights, not just in my career, but personal life as well.
Come to CBHN every Thursday at 7 p.m. and you will see the amazing promises of God that He has for your life come to pass.
I think you should take a look.
Ladies and gentlemen, well done. A Passionate Pursuit of Purpose is now available. This book was written so you don't have to leave your eternity to chance. It's for someone who is a little restless and simply looking for their next move, but doesn't know where to begin. If you feel like there is still more in your court to explore, and you want to experience the fullness of what was deposited within your DNA, then well done. A Passionate Pursuit of Purpose could be the very tool you need to send you in the direction of your destiny. Available now on Amazon and welldonebook.info. That's welldonebook.info.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the In Pursuit of podcast. Of course, today we're in conversation with a Blazers fan. I mean, he's so committed that if you know what 2023-24 season is all about, maybe not a good year to be a Blazers fan, but the reality is the last few years hasn't really been fruitful. It's been more disheartening. What do you do when you live in hope after hope after hope? Chad, there's this concept, a scripture that says hope deferred makes the heart sick. Because you're putting in the work, you might not get the result. You're putting in the work, you might not. You're putting in, you've prayed, man, like you've prayed. You're prayed up. You've been in your word. You're doing all the things. You're going to retreats with other pastors in the city. You're doing everything that you're supposed to do. And sometimes you're not seeing that little seedling pop out of the ground. How do you handle moments like that?
2020, 2021, even into 2022, since we're talking about authenticity a little in this, I don't feel like God said yes to anything I prayed for like 2 or 3 years. And it was very, very difficult. The circumstances, being in Oregon during COVID was difficult, and being a pastor of a mobile church, so set up and tear down every week, but we didn't have a place to be for those 2 years, for I think over 2 years, actually, no place to be, or at least close. Anyway, and so it was just one no after another. But I think what you said, hope, is so important. In the book of Hebrews, it says that hope is an anchor for our souls. And when we hear that, it can be this emotional, nice thing that we kind of read and feel good about. But anchors are no joke. I actually, preaching on that verse, found an anchor at Goodwill, and I dropped it on the ground, had a mat down and dropped it on the ground. And it made this thud. Like, it was a real boat anchor, not a big one, just for probably a rowboat or whatever. But it was like a powerful moment and a powerful sound, frankly. And it's now serves as this reminder to me that even when we don't see God saying yes to our prayers, if we hold on to hope, then we're holding on to something really solid, because hope can feel like this squishy, non-solid, metaphysical thing, but hope is really solid and important. And so in the midst of that, I held on to hope, and I actually see now the ways in which God was working through it all, even though I couldn't see it in those years.
Yes, it's really interesting. A fruit fly, it's just a matter of days or hours where it can, or like half a day where it reproduces other fruit flies. But you want something great, an elephant's gestation period is 2 years,
Yeah, that's rough.
right? I mean, come on, let's be honest. You and I wouldn't really know. Our wives would, but
Yeah, true. Good
right,
point.
the gestation period is ridiculous, but it's a lot greater, isn't it? It's a lot
Yeah.
more amazing, isn't it? When you can just take the time and uh, we've probably ran into moments ourselves or with other people just walking alongside of them where you see people coming to the end of their runway.
Hmm.
But in God, you never really run out of runway, do you?
No, you don't. And I mean, the song that there was two songs that mattered so much to me in that period of time, 2020, 2022. And one of them was Waymaker, which I think mattered to a lot of people during that stretch of time. And just that refrain that even when we don't see it, he's working. Even when we don't feel it, he's working. And I think that part of it is that we have to trust that. The other song, I believe, is called The God of, it says, you are the God of Abraham. You are in command of everything. And I'm not sure of the title. You can find it, you can link it or something. But that idea that the God that we serve right now in this moment is the God of Abraham thousands of years ago. And he's always come through, not on the timeline that people wanted him to come through, but he's always come through. That was such a powerful thing to be drawn back to, as it seemed like God was saying no to all my.
You know, wanted to thank you sincerely. I'm fortunate to be able to meet and hang out with a lot of different people in different circles, in business circles, and in the kingdom. And authenticity is something that people strive to do, and you do it naturally. It's almost like authenticity is your 5 loaves and 2 fish. You're saying, here it is. It is what it is what I got. I got the ability to love you. I got the ability to love you because I love God and God loves you. So let me just love on you. I got the ability to just be me because it's easier instead of faking the funk. It's kind of like your 5 loaves and your 2 fish. That the Can you help us unpack how you see the concept of 5 loaves and 2 fish?
And I think the reminder in Mark is that we have to cling to is that because Jesus is the Son of God, he's the one who can do the miracles through us. And so we offer, the key word maybe in that story of the feeding of the 5,000 is satisfaction. It's one of the key words, that all the people ate and were satisfied. And we can't bring true satisfaction to anyone. I could try to be, different personalities with every person and all that. And you're not going to go, wow, my soul is so full. But we can come, we could do what Jesus wants us to do and be who Jesus, really created us to be. And then trust that he is the Son of God who can make something good out of it. So there's my quick version of that sermon. And hopefully that is a part of the reason that I'm okay being me. I'm just, I like that, just putting my bread and my fish out and saying, Jesus, do something with it.
Powerful. Thank you. And thanks for taking the time and investing in our audience in a worthwhile way. Last question, and it's the same question that I ask everybody. Chad, what are you in pursuit of?
It's a great question. There's a lot probably, but one of the things that I am in pursuit of is being a person that is more focused on being rather than doing. And so I had a professor that had this whole, almost like a personality assessment test in seminary, but it was for if you lean towards being a person who's more driven by the being side of spiritual life or the doing side of spiritual life. And, this is 15, 20 years ago. And I thought it was so dumb. I was like, I'm out to change the world. Like I actually worked with Sam Baker last year, taught theology at the school he teaches at. And so I'm like, but at the time, like, you're just dumb, Sam, Dr. Baker at that time. But as I've aged and I had the opportunity to tell him this, I really wish I would have listened more, because I'm so driven to do and do and do and think about the next thing that I really just want, in the second half of my life, basically, I really just want to be more driven by being with Jesus and then letting the doing flow out of that wherever it goes. And so that's one of the things that I'm pursuing, along with everything that hopefully comes from that, like being a better husband, dad, pastor, all of that stuff too.
Yeah, and he wants to be able to cook bread better. He said it all. He wants it all, and why not? Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any takeaways from this, it's don't stop growing. Don't stop going. Continue to passionately pursue everything so you can experience the fullness of God in your life. And in those moments where you need to make a tough decision, lean into the confirmation of the people that are closest to you. Chad had his brother-in-law. He had his wife. Who do you have? Cultivate the type of relationships around you and just lend your ear a little bit more. There's somebody always whispering a direction. Hey, turn left. Hey, turn right. And you'll be able to decipher who is who and who is for God. You'll be able to figure it out. Chad, appreciate you, man. Thanks for hanging out with us, and bless you in the work that you do in that pathway. Hopefully we'll meet up in Portland one of these days soon.
That'd be great. Thanks for having me on. Let's go get coffee when you're in the Northwest of America.
Thanks for joining us on the In Pursuit Of podcast. Definitely follow us on our socials and consider this your personal invitation to join our Thursday night CBHN Zoom calls at 7 p.m. EST as we challenge each other to pursue the fullness of what God has for our lives. And remember, Matthew 7:7 says, "Seek and you'll find." We pray you too will walk in the fullness of your purposes.